Hey everyone, checking in on the MJ space. A whole bunch of names to cover. The big five, the tier two big three. Then we're going to look at VFFN, TGOD, CURA, CWeb, and IAN, ending it with some of the US names. Action-packed day today. There was a lot going on, a lot of moving parts, and some names showing strength, other names not much follow-through. And what we're seeing recently, as the S&P 500 continues to stay in a bullish trend, giving us the ideal trading environment in this sector for the bulls, is we're seeing money moving around to different names. We have these small runners like VFF and TRST, a bit bigger of a runner, but seeing these news releases about being uplisted, getting some hype, getting attention of short-term traders. And that's where the money's coming in, and then the money goes out and goes somewhere else. And we'll look at IAN as an example of some fresh trading money coming in at the end of the day. But overall, morning opportunities were present. TLRY set the tone for the sector today. And that was with their purchase of Manitoba Harvest. And that's a big name. That they were doing their thing before hemp was cool. And I think that's going to gain them a lot of traction in terms of saying, well, all right, they are a real company that deserves a real big market cap. That whole fiasco with $300 on TLRY tarnished their name a little bit, as a bit of a joke in the sector, but a move like this buyout today is going to give them some more legitimacy. And we've got some nice patterns to be watching on TLRY, and the break of the daily bull pattern was a nice signal to be entering today. And it was nice that this move did not happen on the news pre-market. And let's start with TLRY because, again, it set the tone. We started with, a little bit of a higher open, but then once the bulls really showed up in the first half hour of trading, we saw the rest of the sector, the rest of the major names turn around and react with it. And we saw everybody else hit a new high of the day once TLRY started running. And we also knew that the CEO was going to be on CNBC later in the afternoon at 2 p.m., so that gave some confidence as well. But look at the volume spike and the clear break. Nice timing for this news. 5 days sideways trading. Bull break was 78.36. I ended up flipping TLRY a couple times, first in the morning and then attempted a continuation entry, but ended up getting stopped out break even. And one thing that whenever I have a good morning in this sector or just trading in general, I generally will sit on my hands. And that's why I have a goal of a day maker, because once I hit that day maker, I become way more picky on my trades because I statistically saw by looking back at my data years ago, I make my money in the morning, and if I'm going to give up money and I'm going to lose, it's going to be in the afternoon. So stopping trading after the first hour or two of the morning helps preserve those gains, and knowing when to stop after hitting that day maker keeps us going one step forward every single day. So TLRY had the bull break. I'm interested in this weekly chart. This is going to be great for March. It's a really nice equilibrium where we have our low of the pullback of $64, high of the bounce of 106, higher low of 70, lower high of 89.88, higher low of 75.25. Most important support is 75.25. Most important resistance is 89.88. Still about 8%, 9% away from where we currently stand to break that weekly resistance, but we have not broken the weekly lower highs pretty much since the all-time highs. We've just been seeing lower highs and lower lows. Then we just started seeing lower highs and higher lows. This equilibrium has now been playing out for 2.5 months. And again, the break is going to be nice here, and we're going to be watching for it sometime in the next couple of weeks. As far as the short term goes, hourly higher low established at 77.85. Resistance is 82.50. If we do not break 82.50 first thing tomorrow morning, we'll have an hourly equilibrium to be watching. So have to break that resistance. And we have two nice examples with VFF and TRST, both in similar hourly setups after yesterday's video. One of them, VFF, was able to break resistance within the first 15 minutes of trading and give that confidence in continuation and hit that blue sky breakout. TRST could not do it, and then they dropped down and broke support and really struggled comparatively it's that morning that dictates everything. Can you break resistance in the morning? If the answer is no, you're going to see a lot of profit taking depending on this individual setup, of course, but that's a generalization. So it's all about 82.50 tomorrow morning. CGC is a bit lackluster, and the bulls are getting a bit impatient just in terms of seeing names like APHA up 4.5%, Cron had a 3% day, TLRY a 5% day, and CGC is slightly in the red. And out of maybe the 10 MJ tickers, both US and Canada on my screen, CURA and CGC were the only red ones. So we've got our high, our low of the pullback, our lower high, And we did get some bull follow through. We did break the high of yesterday, but that was on the initial surge in response to TLRY's strength. So we have to be cautious if we come back down here and break 45.70. If that does occur, this is where, my prerogative as my prerogative as an analyst comes into play in terms of using my own interpretation, where I will disregard, if I looked at this, I would call that a little bounce attempt, and I would say, we did establish a little higher low. We tried to see follow through and rejected. But if we come down and break 45.70, I'm just going to be looking at our high, low, lower high, and then just ignoring that little bull attempt and trying to look for the higher low compared to 41.68, as I do believe the bulls will at least be able to hold that support level initially if we do continue this consolidation by breaking 45.70 tomorrow. So keeping an eye on CGC as always, but there are other plays with bigger percentage swings and more volatility for better trading, at least in the short term. Still a beautiful weekly higher low trying to form. We just don't have the follow through that's giving us convincing action that the weekly higher low has been set yet. We broke the daily lower highs. We need the higher low and higher high to confirm the trend change. And that's what all these tier 2 names that we're going to look at in just a moment have already been doing. Hexo, TRST, and OGI. So APHA has stood out the past couple days. Highlighted in the video how we are seeing tightening ranges, or we were seeing tightening ranges on the vast majority of names, but not APHA, a little bit more freedom. The bull break happened right this morning, 977, broke the daily inside bar bullish, breaking 991 confirms the follow through, and we're now looking up at limited resistance, 1030 and 1095. This is a scenario where I would say most likely we're going to be unable to break 1095 on the initial bull move, and we'll likely need to pull back and form another daily higher low. We'll be watching. Tomorrow's going to be pretty telling. We closed near the high of the day. We had a strong end of the day, and it's a potential cup and handle pattern could end up playing out. If we see another green day, get up to 1050, and then we top out and have to consolidate for a higher low, we'll be watching for a cup and handle pattern. If we see a clear rejection and a hard pullback, we'll have an equilibrium to be watching. And if we see increasing bull volume and more than 10 million shares traded, we'll be looking at the potential that we could break that resistance on the first attempt. Again, I think that's the least likely scenario, but it's certainly a possible scenario and something we'll be keeping an eye on. The hourly higher low on APHA for the bulls to maintain full control is 985. ACB. So ACB gave us that daily higher low. We were looking for the higher low compared to 666. We saw a bear break to start the day, but again, that TLRY hype helped things. This is our range. Low of the reaction to earnings, high of the reaction to earnings. Here's our higher low at 680. We closed up near the high of the day, and we're going to be looking for the bulls to make their way towards 747 resistance, but I would anticipate that we're likely going to reject on the initial attempt unless we see big bull volume. If we can see a 20 million volume day and a green day, then we will look at the possibility that we could change this daily trend and break that resistance level, but that's still 5% away. So it all depends on how much follow through we can get tomorrow, but a nice higher low is established, and trying to give the weekly higher low clearly established, but we have to change the daily trend to do so. Cron, lead bull continues. Bull break at 2205. I traded Cron today, and it was just that break at 2205. So I initially took profit in TRST for my swing trade, got that news release about the uplisting. I then traded TLRY twice, and then I traded Cron, and I was bouncing all over the place, a little bit overwhelmed, as I like to keep just one position at a time to have my complete focus, but entered on the bull break I actually entered on the $22 break, and that's the kind of scenario where if you're going to break 22 psychological, the odds that you're going to break 2205 right after it are very high. And if I'm using a decent share position and doing a market buy, I want to be buying before those walls break or into those walls, as opposed to waiting and saying, all right, 2205 broke, now I'm going to buy. And that's the difference of me getting filled at, 2208, maybe 2210, as opposed to 22 and 2201. And that's the difference of a half-day maker for me. A 10-cent move is a half-day maker. So that's when you can, narrow it down to tiny little skill sets of execution and speed that give you that advantage as a day trader and can allow for better profit. So we had a nice little 5-minute bull flag after that initial move, scaled out with a half-day maker, and then scaled out all of it. And in the end, we had a lot of volatility with SPY today with the FOMC minutes coming out, but an hourly higher low form for CGC. So it's the same setup as TLRY. Tomorrow morning, if we break 2249, that's great for the bulls. Continuation, lack of resistance. If we can't break 2249, an hourly equilibrium will be the setup. So again, same setup as TLRY. Next resistance is 23 psychological after 2249. TRST, daily inside bar, very similar to VFF. So let's just go back in time. VFF had the news come out of the uplisting, and then following it, we had the inside bar. TRST didn't have the news come out for the uplisting, but we all found out about it. Reddit knew about it, Twitter knew about it, and got the similar daily inside bar. So let's see if we can get the bull break tomorrow for TRST like VFF got today. So hourly is an equilibrium on VFF. We've got our high of the bull move, low of consolidation, lower high, higher low, inability to break resistance by 4 pennies with another lower high. So the range for me is 1144 to 1172. Break 1172 and we look up towards 1191. Break 1144 and we're looking down at 1117. So it's a tight hourly range all day. Again, I did take profit in my swing position, and it was due to the inability to break resistance this morning, first thing, that I started scaling out. And we had 1191 as resistance, and we started the morning, and we pretty quickly topped out, and I just wanted to exit and focus on other plays like Cron and TLRY. So back to all cash aside from my long-term IAN position, which we will cover at the end here. Hexo, beautiful follow through. We got the bull break yesterday and a close at the high of the day. Bull break was 750 double top. Wasn't a double top exactly, but break of 750 was the bull break. And here we are looking up at 794. We have a lot of names looking for weekly continuation. Look at this Hexo weekly bull flag, higher low established, and now looking for continuation. And that's a great sign. And then we're looking at all-time highs. These tier 2 names are garnering a lot of attention, and we're going to be looking at, again, potential deals. The uplistings are occurring, and we are seeing risk. It's all about risk to reward, and traders want more reward potential, and they're looking for it in names like Hexo, which have gone 100% essentially in under 2.5 months. OGI, actually, let's go with the hourly support for Hexo. To keep the bulls in full control, it's going to be 770 and a nice strong close at the high of the day. OGI got follow through as well, so we had to break that double top first thing. We did it with a gap up open. 815 is the resistance level here. And again, just looking for continuation after consolidation. And if we break 815, 855 all-time high is right there. Tier 2 names have all-time highs in their sights, and we'll see if they're going to be able to make it to those levels. TRST has a lot further to go for that all-time high. Still need another 40% move or so. Hexo, again, doesn't have much to go, and neither does OGI, although OGI is the closest. It does appear percentage-wise to all-time highs out of those 3. VFF, great continuation. Congrats to the bulls. Inside bar bull break, 1107, happened right away. So here's a scenario where in the first 5-minute candlestick, we saw profit taking and instant buying of the dip and resistance break. So breaking resistance within the first 15 minutes of trading gave the bulls confidence. We hit multiple new all-time highs throughout the morning and into the afternoon from that point in time. And it's just a completely different scenario. That's why the first half hour is so important for trading. You have all the volume influx, you have wide volatility, and it's a prove it time frame where the bulls are trying to prove it and break resistance and give confidence, number 1, for bulls to hold their position, and number 2, for other bulls to enter their position, and number 3, for bears to cover their positions. You can get all 3 of those things happening if you break key resistance and see continuation, most notably the high of the previous day, in the first 15 minutes of trading. If you reject from that resistance, you get bulls taking profit, you get shorts jumping into positions, and it's a completely different scenario. So we had some hourly consolidation into the end of the day, which is a potential bull flag still. Short-term support, 1134, and resistance is up at 1182, and then 12 psychological. Same thing tomorrow morning. Bulls want to break 1182 first thing to give confidence in that continuation, and we can certainly get extended on these RSI levels and on all these time frames in blue sky breakout. 4-hour time frame is going to be key here because we've had this uptrend intact now well over 100%. And we have not lost this 4-hour uptrend since this bull move started. And when it is lost, that will be a notable shift in trend. N, Inside bar, so unable to break 123 resistance yet. If this inside bar breaks bearish tomorrow under 110, we'll have the equilibrium tightening range, and we'll look for a higher low compared to 98 cents. If we break the inside bar bullish and get over 116, we're looking right back at that 123 key resistance as the bulls try and shift their momentum. And funny news this morning with the disgraced CEO back on board. That seems like a funny drama-filled company, but I'm not really paying attention to their fundamentals. It's all about 123 resistance. T-God on the daily, this is ideal consolidation. We knew to be looking for a higher low. I believe I said 345 was just a visual estimation of the level that the bulls wanted to hold for their daily higher low to still be strong. And we broke the lower highs. Healthy consolidation for a higher low. Looking at the hourly time frame, the trend changed, breaking these lower highs, and it's all about 385 from here. So key support is now 352, and bulls are trying to see this little bull flag, and continuation need to break 372, 385, and then we're looking at 390. So bulls in the driver's seat. Now it's time to prove it. Show up tomorrow with another green day and more than 2.21 million shares traded, and we're going to be looking up at that 385 resistance level. CURA, bear break of the daily inside bar. Bear break occurred at 950. We dropped down. Nope, bear break occurred at 992. We dropped down to 950. That's a solid 4% plus bear move. But what stands out to me is the lower wick and the buying of the dip on that bear break. So when we get bear breaks without a lot of follow through, we zoom out and look for potential flags. And at this point, this is a potential weekly bull flag. So if we don't get much follow through, this is a cup and handle. We got the all-time high, inability to break the all-time high. If we get a weekly bull flag here, this is a cup and handle weekly pattern, and we're going to be looking for new all-time highs. At this point, we have to maintain, or I should say, we have to ensure that we do not see red flags. So if we close near the low of the day, it would be a different setup, but we saw the solid bounce. If we can change this hourly trend, that would be a great sign for the bulls. Still haven't topped out yet. We're going to look for an hourly lower high compared to 1011, and we need a lower high, higher low, higher high, change the hourly trend, give us a shift in momentum, and give us that weekly bull flag. Doesn't have to be our low right now. We could still drop down and break 950. We could drop down, and drop to 942. And then if we see a bounce, we'll know that it's still healthy weekly consolidation. So the low of consolidation doesn't have to be set yet. We just want to ensure that there's no high bear volume and there's no significant follow through for the bears. As long as you see bulls buying dips like this on bear breaks, that tells you there's definitely still bullish interest. And again, this is one to keep on watch for March and April, to be watching for the potential of that cup and handle. C-Web. So here's one where we broke a double bottom of 19, and it's still weekly healthy consolidation at this point. No red flags. We are looking for a weekly higher low coming off of the all-time high. Volume looks fine, declining bear volume. But we close at the low of the day, so I can't be sure that we're not going to get significant bearish follow-through. If we see a big red day tomorrow and we drop down to $18, then that's going to start to change the complexion of what this weekly chart looks like. If, however, we don't get much follow-through and we see a bounce back over 19 and we see, bulls buying the dip similar to CURA, then we'll say, all right, we're looking for healthy weekly consolidation still. And I'm keeping an eye on C-Web because I do like this weekly pullback right now. It's healthy. It was needed after such a significantly overextended move of 80 to 90% into that all-time high. So we're going to keep an eye on this. Hourly oversold would be nice. So if we drop down tomorrow and break the low of today, keep an eye out for an hourly oversold bounce. Next support is 1875. That has broken. So now we're looking down at a little gap of 1846. So again, I'm not going to act on this anytime soon, but it's something I'm absolutely going to monitor because I do like the weekly chart and the longer term time frame. IAN, huge daily bull volume, and this is a pump. So we had a tweet come out about some group, and I don't even have it up here right at the moment, but saying, IAN going to double sometime in the next couple years, and it's the next great pick, and the release is given to members of a service. And we see this all the time in penny stock world, but this was a lot of volume. Whatever this group is, they got some buying power. This is, $10 million of volume to just run this price into the end of the day. So just be aware that this is not news related and this is not of substance, but we'll take it. new higher high, close at the high of the day, 792 next resistance, and still holding on to my MPX shares, which have yet to be converted. If we were in the US, pretty much all US brokers are still waiting for this share conversion. So just be aware that people have not received their IAN shares in the US and have not received their MPXI shares as well. But I kind of like not being able to sell because it helps with my commitment issues. So MPXI did get some nice bounce follow through. I'm keeping an eye on it. I want to see a daily trend change from the all-time low, but I'll have some shares of MPXI eventually, and we'll just see how I'm going to manage those. So overall, too much to recap, but what I do want to recap is the weekly timeframes to be watching. It's CWeb for weekly higher low after the all-time high. It's CURA for the weekly cup and handle pattern. It's TLRY for the weekly equilibrium. And watch those tier 2 names looking for their all-time highs. OGI closing in. We'll see if TRST can get continuation. Their shares are going to begin trading on the 25th. VFF, Blue Sky Bull, obviously watching for hype and momentum to continue there. And that's all we got. So I don't got any content for the end of the day video at the moment. What did I want to talk about? Suggestion for music for trading. Chill step. So you know what dubstep is with the womp 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 womp, but chill step is something that I've recently discovered, and it's, you know, you can kind of derive what it is from the sound of it, but it's just nice, relaxing background music. I've been, you know, getting prepared each morning to my trading day with that in the background, or I'll trade with that on, and it's the kind of music that you can have on while you're doing work, and it keeps you in your flow state. Check out Chill Step on YouTube and check out some of those videos. I think that's all I had to say. That's it. That's the tidbit at the end of the day. Hope you're well. Do some good things. We'll check back in tomorrow. Again, we're operating in a vacuum of ideal bullish conditions in the S&P 500. That has been the case for 9 weeks at this point. It's not going to always be the case. I am most interested in watching what these individual names do with SPY correlation when SPY consolidates on the weekly time frame. No sign of it yet, but we know it's inevitable at a certain point in time, so just being a bit protective. And, you know, for people looking for long-term entries in the MJ space at this point, if you're not in, I would definitely want to at least see what the sectors do with SPY weekly consolidation.